business part.
Save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive.
Now, that's a commercial you'll remember, even if you don't remember the bundle and save with Progressive part.
We're singing that commercial.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This is the end of the jingle.
A jingle about insurance.
With all the sports we have, every time of the year is the best time of the year.
Step back, three-point shot in the air, bang, it's good. James Harden for three.
On 97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on Thursday's edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's powered by First Bank of CLC. How's everyone doing today? Another win for the Sixers. James Harden doing his thing. We'll get a little bit of the state of the Sixers today. Tom Moore from the Bucks County Courier Times will join me coming up at 6:20 tonight. Tom has covered the Sixers for a long time, so I want to get some perspective on him, on his thoughts. Listen, it's 3 games, but what does he think after 3 games? We'll get with Tom's perspective about the Sixers coming up tonight at 6:20. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 is the text board at 609-403-0973. You should have already downloaded the 97.3 ESPN mobile app because you would have seen that the Sixers have officially signed DeAndre Jordan. That in and of itself is not surprising. What's interesting about the whole situation with the Sixers is I asked Mike Gill this question earlier. And when I asked this question, I really mean this question. Am I the only one who feels like the Sixers did not have a good plan in the aftermath of trading Andre Drummond? It feels like okay, that they traded Drummond and they assumed Millsap was going to be fine. I ran the numbers earlier. When Joel Embiid is not on the floor, the Sixers have a negative scoring differential. Negative. Now, I'm not saying they have to be plus 20 or something without Embiid, but it's becoming more and more obvious when you watch the game, you look at the numbers after the game, that the Sixers cannot function defensively without Joel. And you have this guy in Millsap. Oh, great, he's a veteran. Big whoop-de-doo. Big whoop. I could care less. Veteran or not, he's not getting the job done. You have this crazy situation where you traded the best backup big man in the history of the franchise, who was behind Joel Embiid for all those years. But you had no plan except for Paul Millsap. And then you signed Willie Cauley-Stein. And now you signed DeAndre Jordan. This sounds like some bad planning to me. Either that or maybe they were hoping somebody else would become, if I was the Sixers. Now, I preface this by saying I've never worked in an NBA front office, so I can't tell you exactly how this works. I only know what I've heard and read. But from what I understand, you could have made the Harden deal. Then you gotten back on the phone and called around and said, anybody want to give me a backup big man for a second-round pick? You're telling me there's not enough guys with expiring contracts out there that somebody could have turned around and be like, yeah, I'll give you something. I'll give you a little fill-in-the-blank player. You're telling me they could have gotten nobody? You tell me nobody was available? I have so much trouble believing that they couldn't have done something better. Now, hindsight's 2020. Going back a month now almost, obviously looking back on it, we say something else could have been done better. But again, I don't work in an NBA front office. I just would have liked to have known, was this the plan all along? Was the plan all along Willie Cauley-Stein and DeAndre Jordan, or is Paul Millsap just that not good? Mike Gill's asked 100 times about Charles Bassey. There's got to be a reason they're not playing Bassey aside from just he's young. Now, I understand that Doc Rivers is not the same coach that he was in Boston. I hope he's smarter now. But in Boston, they gave three young guys, a lot of run. Kendrick Perkins, Rajon Rondo, and Glenn Davis. Remember Big Baby from LSU? Yeah. They gave those guys a lot of run. And I have to think that the same coach who gave those guys a lot of run would have to be able to turn around and say, hey, I'll give this young guy a run now. Again, I'm having trouble processing all this information. I'm having trouble sitting here and saying, this is the way it has to be, or Doc hates young players. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I have trouble believing that the only reason why the Sixers won't give more run to Bassey, Charles Bassey and Paul Reed is just because they're young. There's got to be something that we don't know. There's got to be something else. If it literally is just that, then again, to me, that's bad planning. You traded away Andre Drummond and you walked away with nothing. That's bad planning to me. If you're giving up Drummond, then you should have had some other trade in the works or some other move that's not Willie Cauley-Stein 10-day contract and DeAndre Jordan, who just got waived by the Lakers, and the Lakers aren't a good are not a good basketball team. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM. You can text the show at 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Tom Moore, longtime Sixers beat guy for the Bucks County Courier Times, will join us coming up at 6:20 tonight. He's now a sports columnist for the Bucks County Courier Times. Over on the text board, message comes in, says, Josh, come on, man. You got Harden. Who did you want to give up? Maxey? You have to give up something to get something. Listen, man, first of all, appreciate you texting in. I got to call you anonymous, though, because you leave your name. Here's the thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't have given up Drummond. I think you're mishearing me out there. What I'm saying is that if you were going to give up Drummond, you should have had a plan in place for who was going to replace him. Let's not talk about this in basketball terms, okay? Let's talk about this in football, all right? If you are the Seattle Seahawks, because everyone talks about Russell Wilson getting traded, even though we have no credible reporting or evidence he's going to be traded. But fine. Let's say Russell Wilson gets traded by Seattle. The first question the Seahawk fan is going to ask, who's replacing him? Who is the Seahawks starting quarterback if they trade Russell Wilson? That's the first thing the Seahawks fan is going to say. And if your answer is to turn around to them and say, well, you got 3 first-round picks, they're going to say, great, but who is our starting quarterback? Right? Like, I don't understand why people don't comprehend this. How about in the real world where the rest of us live? You trade in your car, okay? What's the first question? What car did you get? Well, I traded in my car. What'd you get? But I traded in my car. But what car did you get in return to replace it? I could go with examples here. If you trade Andre Drummond, what was your backup plan to replace him? Because it's looking like right now that your backup plan was not a good one. Look, no one's answering the question. I have another text. I don't like the analogy. Sorry, I don't like the analogy. You got a better analogy? Listen, I love talking to you guys about sports. When I get on this microphone, it's one of the things I love to do in my life. I love sports. I love talking sports. But if you're going to question what I'm saying, you got to come with something else. I'm telling you guys right now, the Sixers didn't have a backup plan. They didn't have a backup plan when they traded away Drummond. And that's why you're in the position you are in right now, hoping DeAndre Drummond is something, giving Willie Cauley-Stein a contract. It's very simple. We'll get to more text in just a bit. Keep them coming in, 609-403-0973. By the way, I think Talk the Text censors words. I just want to let that person know. I think the person was doing Talk to Text, and I think his phone censored the word he said in. Oh my goodness. All right, I gotta move on. The NFL draft combine is this week, and this quarterback class is mediocre. It's not a great quarterback class. And now everyone's losing their minds about Kenny Pickett's hand size. So for those who didn't hear this story, Kenny Pickett apparently would not have his hands measured at the Senior Bowl for NFL teams. He said he would get all of his medicals and all of his measurements done at the combine. There was this theory out there that he was going to try to, there's a procedure, this stretching activity you could do that makes your hands bigger, right? Well, Kenny Pickett went to the draft combine and he has 8.5-inch hands. Now, for context, teams feel like if you have a 9-inch hand, that's small. So Pickett already has a hand that's smaller than what NFL teams consider a small hand. Now you have the concern, can Kenny Pickett play in the NFL and prevent fumbles if he has small hands? You have a situation now where people are going to judge this guy not based on his tape, but based on his hand size. I'm so tired of this. Am I the only one who's tired of living in a sports world where we are judging guys not based on if they can play football, but based on measurables that are subjective? Look, I understand that there's a metric out there that says that if you draft an offensive lineman with a arm length that's shorter than I think it's like 32 or 34, that they've never been a Pro Bowler. Like, there's a tangible stat. I get that one. But I had to hear forever, Russell Wilson's too short. He's done pretty good in his career. Kyler Murray's too small. I think if Kyler Murray was available to be traded for right now, almost every team in the league would at least take a look at him. This obsession we have with the size, these measurables, hand size, height, weight, I feel like we're losing track of the thing that makes the game important. Can you play? I watched Russell Wilson at North Carolina State and Wisconsin. I knew he could play in the NFL. And on the flip side, I've watched Kenny Pickett play in Pitt. And I'm telling you, he's not that good. And it has nothing to do with his hand size. It's amazing to me. By the way, for anybody who cares, Jalen Hurts' hands are 9 3/4. He has almost a 10-inch hand. Whatever that's worth. He's in the 60th percentile of quarterbacks who have been drafted in the last 20 years. Great. I can't wait until we start talking about guys' tape and how they play. This stuff is ridiculous. All right, we got to talk more Sixers coming up next. Tom Moore from the Bucks County Courier Times joins me next right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City.
It's Flyers Wild tonight with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on your home for Flyers hockey in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Ready to get fiscally fit in 2022? First Harvest Credit Union offers home equity loans as low as 2.99 annual percentage rate for 5 years and as low as 3.49 annual percentage rate for 10 years. For more on these specials, visit firstharvestcu.com or visit a local branch by March 31st. For additional information as to costs, call 800-582-7640. Must apply by March 31st, 2022. Subject to qualifications and approval. Other restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Remember how 15 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, I used all those savings to buy that golf club that swings for you. But now everyone who plays golf is really good because, the club swings for you in the future, which is now.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
You can unlock more cash than you realize from your home's equity with a cash-out refinance today. In the last year, average home values have gone up nearly 20%. And with Rocket Mortgage, you can unlock thousands in less than 3 weeks. But you've got to act right now before rates go up. So when you're looking to unlock the cash in your home, Rocket can. Call 833-8ROCKET today or go to rocketmortgage.com to get started.
Rates current as of 12/12/21. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org. Number 3030. Call 800-490-1233 for disclosures and cost information.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say, better get Mako! And go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable networks, now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
20,000 bonus points, 18.99% variable APR, and a $32 statement credit when you spend $200 before your dog's 8th birthday.
Credit card ads have all sorts of numbers, but they mean nothing to you if you don't get approved. So here's Credit Karma's number, 66. Like members who shop on Credit Karma get approved 66% more often than the national average. Now that's a number you can rely on. Credit Karma. Applied with Karma Confidence.
Member approval rates in 2021, 66% higher than 2020 CFPB national average.
Hi, my name is Takia, and a little thing that I love about the Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is when I take a bite, it's the perfect blend from the bacon to the cheese. It's perfection.
Hey, I'm Couture, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A mac and cheese is it kind of melts in your mouth. So you know it's creamy, cheesy, and delicious. This gooey mac makes me cheese every time.
Order dinner delivered on the Chick-fil-A app today. Delivery fee and other restrictions apply. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
It's Truck Month all month at Matt Platt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt
Black Nissan.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. New trucks arriving every day and all month. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. $5,000 off Titans, or lease the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier S 4x4 King Cab. Just $279 per month with zero security deposit. Plus, AJ, the trade man, needs more trades. Get more for your trade and drive home a brand new Nissan with zero down and pay 0% interest on every new Nissan in stock. And drive away with peace of mind, because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle, 36-month, 10,000-mile pre-year lease, plus tax tag and $479 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 3/6/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here in the Matt Blatt Kia studios on 97.3, 97.3 ESPN FM. You know, just to pull the curtain back a little bit, it's a timing thing when it comes to when you actually drink your liquid before you turn the microphone on. And I apparently violated my time between turning on the microphone, excuse me, and drinking my tea or my water from behind me, because apparently 1 second difference between drinking the liquid and swallowing it and turning on a microphone was not a good idea. But we're still here anyway. We'll talk some Sixers now with Tom Moore from the Bucks County Courier Times right now on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Tom, how you doing today?
Okay. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing all right. And, you know, I want to ask you to start because, you know, the audience kind of giving me a little flack about this, but, you know, I'm starting to feel like, you tell me what you think, because they signed DeAndre Jordan now. We knew that was going to happen. Willie Cauley-Stein came here for the 10-day contract. Andre Drummond was the perfect big man to back up Embiid, but you had to trade something to get Harden. But my question is, did the Sixers backup plan for when they traded Drummond, did it just not go the way they wanted? Did they not think ahead well enough? Like, you know, to be in this situation where you're kind of looking for somebody to fill in the minutes behind Embiid, that you're hoping that these guys who are just beyond their prime can do something for you.
I don't know. I mean, were they hoping that Derek Favors maybe got bought out? I'm really not sure. I don't know. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. You know, Paul Millsap, last 3 games has been the primary backup big, but, you know, he's been a power forward his whole career. He's 6'8". He understands how to play. He was a 4-time All-Star. He's not that player anymore, but he's not like a big, you know, like a shot blocker. He's not a difference maker, and you can clearly see the difference when he's on the floor. Paul Reed looked good in a couple games where he was the backup point guard, backup center, but he, you know, now Rivers went in other directions, and Rivers, you know, coached DeAndre Jordan with the Clippers, so he's quite familiar. You know, the one thing Jordan does well is he's good with the lobs. You know, he and Harden, you know, would be, you know, seem to be on the same page in that respect. But I mean, he's 33. I don't know. He's certainly not the player he was. Can he give them 12 minutes, 14 minutes a game, which is what they're probably looking for, you know, spelling Embiid? You know, we'll find out. I don't know. You know, hasn't had a great year, but it's kind of a mess with the Lakers. So, you know, they have 21 games to kind of figure it out. And that I wrote about that, you know, last night off the game, you know, the rotation, figuring out if you shorten the rotation, is Korkmaz going to be out of it? Is Shake Milton, or do you go with a hot hand between those two? Who's the backup center? You know, combinations. He's got a lot of things to figure out, you know, in the next 5.5 weeks till the season's over.
It's been brought up by some people, Tom, about, you know, why aren't they giving Bassey more run? And the excuse I hear is, well, Doc doesn't trust young players. And I just have trouble like fully accepting that, because I remember those Celtics team that Doc coached, Kendrick Perkins, Rajon Rondo, Glenn Big Baby Davis. They were all young players. They got a ton of burn for Boston. Now, I understand that was maybe 13, 14 years ago, but I mean, has Doc really become this untrusting guy in 13 years of basketball? I have trouble believing that, people are just saying it's because he doesn't trust young guys.
Well, I mean, it's kind of it's a coaching, kind of a staple of coaches is that when in doubt, you'd rather go with the George Hills of the world, who have been there, who have experience, even though he was a serious disappointment offensively in that Atlanta series when that second group was dying for a basket. But, people would, coaches typically would rather go with somebody that they are comfortable with and confident in rather than fringe young guys who you don't know if the moment's going to be too big for them. I mean, he did play Maxey some. Maxey was a difference maker in game 6 against the Hawks. And he was the first guy off the bench in game 7. And he's starting this year and, is, probably the third best player right now. You could say pretty confidently at this point. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's more to it. We don't see a lot at practice. We don't really know what goes on. We don't know. We hear, you hear rumbling something, again, not about Bassey, but other guys maybe have trouble with the plays or, make the same mistakes again, So I don't know. I mean, Bassey, it seemed like Bassey was ahead of Paul Reed for a while, and he did play well that little stretch where, he was in the lineup. And I thought he looked pretty good. But, like I said, I really don't know what's going on. There could be a reason. And Rivers usually doesn't like to tell you too much about that stuff, with young guys. And I don't blame him because I don't know. And it doesn't necessarily mean Bassey's done anything wrong, but maybe just not doing enough of what, Rivers wants and needs.
Well, the one thing, Tom, we do know is that these three guys, Harden, Embiid, and Maxey, have been amazing. Have they met your expectations in 3 games? Have they exceeded your expectations? Like, what is your perspective on these 3 guys? Because, Tom, you've seen a lot of Sixers basketball. You've seen a lot of variations of different things this franchise has tried to do. And this so far looks like a home run, but it's only 3 games.
Well, yeah, it's 3 games, and you've beaten the Knicks twice and Minnesota. And, you're not going to play any of those teams. Whoever you play in the playoffs in the first round is going to be better than any of those teams.
Right.
So while it has been, I have to say, I didn't think Harden would, start out so well. And he seems to have a really good knack for kind of when to look for his own shot and when to really try to set guys up. And he early on in games, a lot, he seems to be looking for other guys. And then kind of, with the rotation, when he's out there with Tobias Harris and Embiid's off the floor, he looks for his shot more. The same with Maxey. When Maxey's out there, when Harden's not on the floor, and Maxey is the point guard, Maxey has a pretty good knack of when to be more assertive and look for a shot. But yeah, I mean, he's done everything right. He's said all the right things. He seems to be really happy there. But as you said, Josh, it is 3 games. Everything's going well. And Rivers said before the game last night, there's going to be bumps. There's going to be disagreements. Stuff happens. It's you have to get past it and you kind of move on. You don't want it to linger. You don't want there to be jealousies with guys. And, I thought Embiid and Harden would work well together, but I'm really probably most surprised at how Maxey has flourished. I thought Maxey, his role is so different. He doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. And he just he's gotten better opportunities, more open threes. He's getting to the rim. I mean, all 3 of them scoring 20 in the first 3 games, is amazing to me. And that's what they need. And Thibault has benefited. He's getting some duck-ins and easy baskets, and Harden is encouraging him to shoot threes. He made a couple last night. I mean, he's still, is a limited offensive player, but I think he's averaging just under 10 points in the 3 games. And if he can give the Sixers that, along with his defensive work, the only other guy you kind of need to get going here is Tobias Harris.
Before we get to the other stuff, I want to zero on what you just said about Harden, how Harden is gone to Thibault. He's talked to Maxey. He's getting in these young guys' ears, telling him, hey, this is what I know you can do. This is what I expect of you. What does that say to you that Harden has been that assertive as a leader this early on.
Yeah, he was asked about that after the game last night, and he said, I've always been comfortable going into new situations and kind of being myself and being a leader and taking young guys under my wing and, showing them and telling them and suggesting and prodding and things like that, which he clearly has, done while he's here. And that's what they need because they really don't have a veteran. Embiid's been better this year, but he's not a kind of a rah, everybody do this kind of guy. And Danny Green's a little older at 34. And, now that he comes off the bench, I don't know that he has kind of the cachet he did, last year when he was coming off, championships with the Lakers and the Raptors, consecutive championships anyway. So, he's been fantastic, but it's also his third team in 15 months and I think this year things will be fine, but I think long-term, you just personalities and everything and a group, you really have to work on that. And I think, Rivers is, but it's something that he needs to stay on top of. And the Sixers do, if he notices anything, they need to address it and make sure that it doesn't go from like a little thing to a big thing.
Tom Moore from the Bucks County Courier Times joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. At Tom Moore Philly on Twitter is where you can give him a follow. Tom, you mentioned Doc. Doc's becoming this interesting figure when you talk to Sixer fans because there's one group of people who say, hey, Doc's won a championship. He's been there, done that. And another group of fans are saying, Doc is not that great. He's overrated. And I'm just like, I don't know what people think Doc Rivers is, but as far as I know, he's, I don't think the league would have this ranking of 15 greatest coaches and dropping him on the list just to do him a favor. You know what I mean? Like people are acting like, Doc is either the greatest or he's the worst. And I just don't think he's one extreme or the other.
Yeah, he's in the huge middle. No, no question. Well, one thing that this Harden trade has done and is made a real big difference is he's been trying to pair it. Sometimes he'll put 4 subs on the court with 1 starter, but typically he tries to have Harden and Harris together with 3 backups or Embiid and Maxey together with 3 backups. So you have a scorer and you have an initiator out there and you just kind of fill in around them. And I think that has really helped that they haven't gotten, they can go to the bench and 14-point leads don't disappear in 5 minutes, like have happened in the playoffs, all too regularly over the last 3 postseasons. They just couldn't kind of hold the fort there. And I think that's a big thing. They wonder why Korkmaz continues to play. And I have to say, I've been wondering it too. Last night, he, 5 minutes in the first half, missed 2 shots, had a turnover, got booed several times. And then to Rivers' credit in the second half, he didn't get off the bench and Milton got his minutes, got Korkmaz's minutes, and Milton had a better first half. He drove to the basket for 2 hoops and he had a steal. And he was effective last night. He's also not shooting the ball very well. Both Milton and Korkmaz are shooting under 30% from 3. And that really hurts with that second unit. You can't afford that. So yeah, there definitely are some things to figure out, quite a few things, and they may change again. And as he said before the game last night, the backup center, it could be by committee. They could, maybe Jordan will get the first crack, but if he's not, against bigger guys, maybe they use him, but maybe they go with Millsap against smaller guys, or maybe against athletic backup bigs. Paul Reed gets a chance, or even possibly Bassey. So there's a lot going on and there's a lot to do in the last 21 games.
You mentioned Tobias Harris a couple times since we started talking. Let's get to him because is it psychological, you think, for him, Tom? Is it just he doesn't fully understand what it's like to play with a guy like Harden? What do you think the reason is why Tobias has not been able to adapt as quickly as some of the other guys have?
Well, he's not getting as many touches, which is understandable. But I think it's similar to 2 years ago when he came in and, Butler and Embiid were here. And I think he deferred a lot to other guys. And I think he's doing that. He passed up a couple of open threes last night, took a couple dribbles, got in the lane, and then had to dish the ball. And that's not what they want him to do. Rivers has been saying for a year and a half, it's got to be straight line, quick action. Get the ball, go up and shoot it, or 3 dribbles to the bucket, pull up, shoot a 12-footer, or go all the way to the rim. Not this intermediate stuff and kind of dancing, going left and right. And I think he's just adjusting. And, he was somewhat up and down. He wasn't having as good a year this year as he had last season, but he was in a pretty good stretch there, before the trade and the All-Star break. And now he's kind of adjusting again. So, maybe his numbers and attempts will come down, and maybe that's just what's going to happen. But if Maxey keeps scoring and keeps giving him 18 or 20 a night, and Harden and Embiid, keep leading the way, it isn't as big a deal because, they're getting 70 plus points from their top 3 guys each night.
Tom, I said a couple times already this week, to me, the game coming up that I am circling is the Miami Heat game because it's on the back-to-back. So you're in Philadelphia Friday. You have to fly down to Miami on Saturday. So you have that issue. Then I think Miami has the type of team that could really test the Sixers. I think that they have from, we know how Butler is. I mean, that guy, he's a special animal unto himself. Adebayo's a freak. Lowry is a crafty veteran. I think the big test for the Sixers first coming up is that Miami game because of the timing and because of who they're playing.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, that's it's the top team in the East, the best record in the East right now. And it's a group that's been together, Cleveland Friday night, but Cleveland's got some injuries, not 100%. And then this stretch, then, next Monday, you have the Bulls who are pretty good. And you have, the Nets next Thursday. So I really think this next week is really going to give a better indication of kind of where the Sixers stand. But yeah, I think that's the toughest game. I think if you're saying, the Sixers, what game are they most likely to lose? I think if you're honest, that's the most likely game, for a number of reasons. As you said, they'll be, leaving Philly at, flying out at 11 o'clock or midnight on Friday night, getting into Miami at 2:30 in the morning. And, hopefully that's too late for them to go out and do stuff on South Beach. Then have a really good team 8 o'clock game on Saturday night. So yeah, I think that game will tell us a lot. They haven't played a back-to-back yet, with Harden. His conditioning appears to be really good. He said he feels really good from, I guess the time out, the time away. But, how will he hold up? And Embiid, can they provide 35 quality minutes in the second game of back-to-back if it's a close game? And they haven't had it down to the wire game yet. I'm really curious to see, what Rivers runs and how they do things in a tight, game in the last couple possessions in the final minute. How that goes. I'm really curious to see that.
Once we get through the gauntlet of this month, where do you think the Sixers will be in the standings? You think they'll be about where they are now? Do you think they'll move up? Do you think they'll move down? What do you think is a fair expectation for Sixer fans?
Yeah, I mean, where they are now is third. That's reasonable. I mean, they could possibly move up a little bit, but, as I said, 21 games, and they have their schedule isn't horrible the rest of the way. It's not, it's not too bad. But is Embiid going to play all the games? Are they going to, have a couple maintenance days here and there? Could they do the same thing with Harden? Possibly. I don't know. That hamstring was taped up pretty good last night. It looked like, but it didn't seem like he had any trouble moving or anything like that. Yeah, I think that, it's second or third in the East is probably reasonable. Miami's going to be tough, and you have the Bucks are kind of right there. Lumen had a big win over the over the Heat in Milwaukee last night. So, yeah, I think third's reasonable, and that you probably avoid somebody you don't want to play. Although, if you get the Celtics or the Nets in a 3-6 matchup in the first round, that could be really interesting.
Well, I think Sixer fans would like to see the Nets just to see if Ben Simmons actually plays in Philadelphia. You know how the Sixer fans are.
No, I'm sure they would, because I'm pretty sure he's not playing next Thursday.
Oh, I told people a month ago, Tom, when the trade was made, I was like, I will bet you any amount of money Ben Simmons will not play March 10th.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Well, they didn't want him to come back, and maybe he's not ready, but they don't want him to come back, play, and then not play that game. That would look really bad. Now, The interesting thing will be, when will he actually play? How long after that game does he make his debut?
Right.
If it's the next game, it's a little curious. If it's 2 weeks later, then, then there's nothing untoward. But I would think the best thing there would be just to get it out of the way. It's going to happen, and it's going to be ugly. Do it, get it out of the way, and move on.
Yeah, well, that makes too much sense. That's why it won't happen, Tom.
Yeah, I hear you.
He's Tom Moore. You can check him out on Twitter at Tom Moore Philly, sports columnist for the Bucks County Courier Times. He joined us right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM. Tom, I appreciate the time and the conversation.
All right, Josh, anytime. Take care.
Josh Hennig here in the Matt Black Kia studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. I see your texts at 609-403-0973. We'll get to what you guys have to say on the other side, and we'll wrap up the show. Flyers hockey, by the way, tonight, playing the Wild, the Minnesota Wild. By the way, how about the Flyers being on net? The Flyers are the 4th worst team in the NHL, and they're playing the Chicago Blackhawks on ABC at 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Talk about poor planning. Woo! Man. Flyers do play tonight at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM, though. Sixers back in action tomorrow versus the Cavs.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Back out to Hart, deep three. He got it. James Hart evens the score at 98.
The Sixers host the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
It's Truck Month all month at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. New trucks arriving every day and all month. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. $5,000 off Titans, or lease the all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier S 4x4 King Cab. Just $279 per month with 0 security deposit. Plus, AJ, the trade man, needs more trades. Get more for your trade and drive home a brand new Nissan with 0 down and pay 0% interest on every new Nissan in stock. And drive away with peace of mind, because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. Negative equity will be refinanced with a new vehicle, 36-month, 10,000-mile pre-year lease, plus tax tag and $479 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 3/6/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
A Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
To demonstrate the power of Cricket nationwide 5G, we brought in this monster truck. And to tell you Cricket 5G is available on every plan at no extra charge, we brought in this fleet of monster trucks. Now that's power! Get powerful nationwide 5G on all plans at no extra charge. Plus a Cricket Dream 5G phone free when you switch. Tastes like power too. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month plan. First month service charge and tax due at sale. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors, presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent. protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make $200 to $300 this year.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MILE for 25 cents a gallon or more cash back on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code MILE to earn 25 cents a gallon or more on your first tank. That's code MILE.
Imagine where one app can deliver all of your favorite brands and more. With DoorDash, get everyday essentials like groceries, convenience items, and your favorite local restaurants delivered. For a limited time, get 50% off and zero delivery fees on your next order of $15 or more using promo code ORDER50 when you download the DoorDash app or go to DoorDash.com. That's 50% off up to a $12 value and zero delivery fees on your next order when you use code ORDER50. Subject to change. Terms apply. Get more from your neighborhood with DoorDash.
Hoops are happening, and college basketball's biggest stage is right around the corner on PropSwap. Every season, prop swappers make thousands of dollars by simply buying and selling college basketball teams. Now is the time to find those Cinderellas while the odds are high. So get to your sportsbook, buy a handful of tickets, and list them on PropSwap. Remember, only one team needs to make a run, and that ticket will pay for the rest. Dark horses happen every year, so download the free PropSwap app today. PropSwap, where America buys and sells sports bets.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Sixers back in action tomorrow. Flyers in action tonight. Of course, we are your home for the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, March Madness, Super Bowl 56, and more. 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget to download the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. If you're ever not near your radio, or like part of tomorrow, we're not going to actually be on. Our tower is being brought down for maintenance, so we will not be on the air part of the day tomorrow. We hope to be full power again by 4 p.m. tomorrow, but part of the day tomorrow we will not be full power. So if you miss anything, just grab the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Get some of your text messages now, 609-403-0973. Couple more texts coming in while we were talking with Tom Moore for the Bucks County Courier Times. Always appreciate Tom jumping on. You know, I'm so grateful for some of the people that we've had come on during my time here at 97.3, whether it's a guy like a Tim Legler on the Sports Bash, a Keith Pompey, and a Tom Moore on Game Night. You know, there's a lot of people who have a lot of great perspectives and insights. You know, Paul Hudrick from Liberty Ballers joins Mike Gill 3 days a week. Keith Smith joins Mike Gill on Thursdays. You know, it's always good to get different perspectives on the NBA and the Sixers. So I appreciate, you know, the fact that we're able to bring you all those types of people here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973. Adam in EHT. First of all, Adam, thank you for leaving your name. It's good to talk to somebody with a name who's listening out there. Adam says, Sixers had to get Harden and then pick up what was left after the trade. They couldn't worry about a backup center when it came to getting Harden. That's from Adam and EHT. Again, Adam, I'll repeat what I said earlier. It's not that they had to worry about trading Drummond. I agree with you guys. You had to give up Drummond if it meant getting Harden. My point is that after you make that trade, the next thing is, okay, who's replacing Drummond? There was roughly 90 minutes left when the trade news broke until the 3 p.m. deadline. There was 90 minutes. You're telling me the Sixers couldn't trade some random second-round picks to get a backup center who's better than DeAndre Jordan, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Paul Millsap? That's what I mean, Adam and EHT. I'm not saying they shouldn't have traded Drummond or been worried about it. What I'm saying is, when you make a deal like that, you got to have a backup plan. And it feels like their backup plan was flawed. That's all. For as much praise that we give Daryl Morey for getting Harden, holding out on Ben Simmons, not giving him up for a bag of basketballs, blah, 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 at the same time, we also have to question, hey, did you actually have a good enough plan in place to fill that void? You know, the Sixers bench is not scoring a lot of points right now. The good news is Harden, Maxey, and Embiid are combining for almost 85 points a game. But if one of those guys goes cold, what happens? I think that the trade for Harden was a sacrificing of the bench for the superstar you need to win a championship. Now the question is, what happens next? Joey D. and Ventnor chimes in over at 609-403-0973. Joey D says, Josh, there wasn't a plan for a backup center. The plan was to flip Ben Simmons for his star. The Sixers hit the jackpot in getting Harden. They were going to the buyout market for the rest. Getting DeAndre Jordan isn't that bad. That's Joey D. and Ventnor. I don't know, man. DeAndre Jordan, see, I'm conflicted because on one hand, I understand why they're getting DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan played for Doc Rivers all those years with the Clippers, so he knows him very well. Jordan played in Brooklyn with James Harden when he was there. But DeAndre Jordan is 33 years old now. And DeAndre Jordan was trouble getting minutes in Los Angeles. You know, this isn't Dwight Howard when they brought him in. First of all, I thought they should have kept Dwight Howard, but I was wrong about that. Drummond turned out to be great. But to me, Dwight Howard would have been the guy that made sense for them to try to go steal. In fact, if I was the Sixers, I would have called the Lakers and said, what do you want for Dwight? What do you want? A second-round pick? 2 second-round picks? I would have brought him back before the deadline, but no mas. So DeAndre Jordan, he's here because of Doc Rivers and James Harden. I get that. But this is a guy who is averaging under 13 minutes a game with the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that has had a plethora of injuries, and they decided to waive him. He's averaging 5 rebounds per game in under 13 minutes of action. So he'll get you some rebounds. The blocks, he's under a block per game. So he's probably, in theory, better than Willie Cauley-Stein statistically. Physically, he looks washed. He isn't the same guy. Over on the text board, 609-403-0973. Andrew in Summers Point says, are we really arguing about who is the better old center off the bench? We are, because we are sports fans. That's why. No, but seriously, it's less of an argument than it is, and Andrew Summers Point, I appreciate you chiming in. It's less of an argument than just a question. You know, putting it out there into the universe. The idea of, you know, if you in a situation that Joel Embiid gets injured and can't play the rest of a game, what happens defensively? Not offensively, defensively. I think Tobias Harris will get his offense situation figured out. I think that Shake Milton is going to probably become one of your main off-the-bench scorers long-term. But aside from those two guys, what happens when Embiid goes down? Or if what if Embiid tests positive for COVID in the postseason? Then what happens? You got a mess on your hands. You really believe in DeAndre Jordan for 20 minutes a game? Ugh. That's all I'm asking. I'm a big believer in planning ahead, having backup plans, knowing where you're going next with things. That's all. That's the mindset I come from. You know, we didn't even talk much NFL today, and it's all good. I just want to point out to all the Jalen Hurts haters out there that Jalen Hurts' hands are 9 3/4 inches, which is in the 60th percentile of NFL quarterbacks, and Kenny Pickett is an 8.5-inch hand. Just putting it out there for the haters. Thanks again for Tom Moore for joining the show, Talk Sixers earlier. Thanks everybody who texted in. I love it when you guys engage, get involved in the show. We'll be back on tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
You know why Joel Embiid had 37? He went 23 of 27 from the free throw line because James put him in a lot of those situations where he was able to draw contact, and the game becomes easier for him.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.